Hi, Mr. Gadd here. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about factors and greatest common factor to help you out for your upcoming test. Factors are numbers that, when multiplied together, will make the number we're looking for. For example, we want to find the factors of 12. We need to ask ourselves, what numbers multiplied together can make 12? And the easiest way I find to get factors is start with the biggest and the smallest factor. So factors of 12 always start with 1. 1's always a factor of a number. But factors always come in pairs. So we're going to say 1 times what is 12? 1 times 12 is 12. So if 1 is a factor, it means 12 is also a factor. And I put it over there so we have room for all the factors in between. Now I find it easiest to go through the numbers. Start with 1, and then go to 2. We know 2 is a factor of 12 because 12 is even. That means the 1's digit is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So 2 is a factor of 12. We separate our factors by commas. Factors always come in pairs, so 2 times what is 12? Well, if you know your 2 times tables, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, we know that 6 times 2 is 12. So 6 is also a factor of 12. I put it up here because it's the second highest one. The next thing we look at is 3. 1, 2, and 3. We find out if 3 is a factor by finding the digital root of 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. The digital root is 3. And if the digital root is 3, it means that 3 is a factor of 12. So, because factors always come in pairs, 3 times what is 12? So we need to know our 3 times tables. 3, 6, 9, 12. 3 times 4 is 12. When these numbers get right next to each other, and there's no factors in between, it means we're all finished. So all the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Now often we'll be asked to find the greatest common factor of 2 numbers. Greatest common factor. So if we were asked to find the greatest common factor of 27 and 48, find the greatest common factor of 27 and 48. The first thing you need to do is find the factors of 27 and the factors of 48. So a sideways T-chart is the best way to go. And we'll do the same process we did with 12. We'll start with 1. We know that 1 times 27 is 27. We'll do 2 next. 27 is not even, so 2 is not a factor. We'll do 3 next. The digital root of 27 is 2 plus 7 is 9. And if the digital root is 9, it means 3 is a factor. And it turns out 3 times 9 is 27. So we put the 9 on the other end. 3 times 9. After 3 comes 4. We know 4 is not a factor, because for 4 to be a factor, this number has to be even. We know that 5 is not a factor, because if 5 was a factor, the 1's digit would be 0 or 5. We know that 6 is not a factor. For 6 to be a factor, the number has to be divisible by 3. Yes, and even, but it's not. 7 is hard. I have no tricks for 7, but the 7 times tables, 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 7 is 28. So 7 is not a factor. 8 is not a factor. And 9 is already here. So 27 only has 4 factors. So we'll stop there. 48. We always start with 1 and 48. Do 2 next. 8 is even, so that means 2 goes into 48. 2 times what is 48? So if we just half 48, half of 40 is 20, half of 8 is 4, 24. Now as a helper here, any factor of 24 is also a factor of 48, so that might help you if you know your 24. Is 3 a factor of 48? The digital root is 4 plus 8 is 12. But a digital root has to be one digit, so we add the 12, the 1 and the 2 of 12 to make 3. 3 is the digital root, so 3 is a factor. 3 goes into 48. Well, 3 goes into the 4 once, but there's 1 left over. 3 goes into the 18 6 times, so 16 is a factor. The next number is 4, and we know a 4 is a factor if half of 48 is also even. Half of 48 we know is 24. It's even, so 4 is a factor. And to find 4 times what, because factors always come in pairs, we find 48 divided by 4. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 8 twice. So 12. 110. 2 ones. Does 5 go into 48? Well, the ones digit would be 0 or 5 if 5 went in, so 5 does not go in. Does 6 go into 48? 2 and 3 are both factors, which means 6 is a factor. 6 times what is 48? So 6 times 8, you need to know your 6 times table. 6 times 8 is 48. I'm just going to move this 12 over. Fit my 8 there. 6 and 8 are almost next to each other. There's only one number in the middle, that's 7. Is 7 a factor of 48? Well, 7 times 7 is 49, so 48 is not going to work. So these are all the factors of 48. Now the question is the greatest common factor. Now there's a couple of factors here that are common. 1 is always a common factor. 3 is a common factor. And there's nothing else that's common. So, the greatest common factor is 3. I hope that